Welcome back to Dawn of Man HP. Strategic Sage here. Thanks for joining me. We are now starting to burn off some charcoal. We've got 3 logs to make 6 charcoal, and all of the metal objects, well, not the metal actual tools, but the raw, like ore and metal bars, if you will, and the charcoal as well, do not decay. So we can do as many of them as we want, but we're doing a pretty reasonably low limit of 10, which is the default. And let's take a look at our trader now, who's up here. And they actually didn't bring us any copper stuff. We could buy this flint stuff. I was originally going to do that. Not going to bother, though, because I don't think it's going to be necessary. We'll see why very shortly. So we're going to change up some of the stuff that we build. We're going to get rid of all flint production, actually. And then anything we would have built out of flint, we now want to build out of copper. Yay. Knowledge from charcoal. So, we're going to use the bone for as much as we can, again, because it's a renewable resource, and then axes and picks over here. But we're not going to need to build any of them right away. Reason being, one of the quality of life changes in the fairly recent 1.6 patch is that these limit possibilities of changes. It tells you what your effective limit is, and then also, it has the adult thing there. It's set to 50% of adults, as opposed to 50% of your total population, which is an interesting way of looking at it. But basically that means, like right now, for example, on the spears, we're set to a limit of 45, whereas we were using 50% of the whole population. That was like 68. So now we've got to wait to wear out some of these before we even need to build any. And that will also hold true, of course, for these copper items. Now there is one building that I forgot to mention. Let's see how we're... Oh, it's almost done. Excellent. There's our workshop. So, there we go. And this is also new to the Copper Age. So it's kind of a strange little building here, where, let me just sort of zoom in on it. You can enter from 3, like, triangular different directions. Like, enter from this way, or this way along this side, or this way along this side. And they've got all this stuff laid out. And it's kind of a combination. There's a frame there, and there's a frame over here, a couple different roofs at different angles and heights. But this is sort of a miscellaneous thing. We do have this, which is new. Specialized fishing rods. Now they can be built actually a proper, like, line and string with linen. So we're going to need more linen, but also we can just right-click on that. And then we also want to definitely take advantage of the fact we can build sledges here automatically, and we are going to continue building the bows as well. And that's it for now. We don't want the slings. More stuff will come later. So if we go to our resource limits here for this area, cart's at 10, or I don't want the cart, but I want sledge at 15. We'll leave that where it is. Leave that where it is. And then, yeah, these other things, you know, we'll just zero them out since we're not actually to them yet. Okay, so we're going to be using more leather, but also we can just get rid of now in our crafter, get back over that way, get rid of the harpoons. And that's going to be that much less bone that we actually need, and we can focus the bone on these other things. So I'm pretty confident we're going to have plenty of bone, at least for the time being, particularly how well our animal situation is holding up. And we're just kind of going to move forward now and continue growing the town, or city, actually, now really at, you know, pushing 150. We definitely need to call it a city. And we don't have any copper-related stuff to directly do until we get to the point that we need it and actually can buy some from the trader. Here's more of what we're looking for as we move forward to summer. We have copper and a bunch of other things that we're not interested in buying. But copper for sure. So copper ore only costs 3 each. And you can actually get it after it's already been turned into usable metal. And those are 4 each. But that's still, I think, fairly inexpensive. We can get wool for 5. So we will simply... And wool seems to me to be definitely the best. Because it's one that we constantly have a surplus of. And we're not using nearly all of it anyway. So we might as well just sell some of that surplus. It doesn't really hurt us at all. There we go. So... Now, we're going to have to wait a bit for them to, because they just drop it off here, and then we've got to get people to come bring it to where we're going to need it, which is, of course, over here to the pit furnace. as we see everybody going about their essential daily ritual. You can see workload's very low, so we should have a reasonably quick reaction to this. And then we're doing pretty good on the outfits here. Our food supply, we're watching that. It looks like we're starting to see a bit of a decline. And by the way, this right here is the straw chart. And I've got that up because with the number of animals we have, and frankly, I probably should have done this sooner, but this is definitely worth watching, and we're going to need to make some adjustments based on that quite soon. But for now, we want to see them do something with this copper ore. Let's see, how is this over here? They've moved it, it looks like. There we go. Now we've got somebody who's hauling it over here on a sledge, which means we're probably going to get to see some action in a bit. Coming around that hut there. Population-wise, 14 pregnancies. So we're definitely, looks like we're about to see a beginnings of another growth cycle. There we go. And they light this thing up. Charcoal, of course, necessary to reach the proper temperatures in order to melt the copper. And we basically get 1 ore plus 1 charcoal equals 1 bit of usable metal. Symbol of 3 bars. And then there's an upgraded version which we can't get to, etc. And of course bronze, which also is not available just yet. But after these are built, they're just going to store it. Because again, we don't need it yet. But we should slowly, as we buy up more ore from the trader, build up a backlog for when we do need it. That's the plan at the moment. Okay, so next trader in the fall, just 1 season later, and they brought more copper. They do seem to operate sort of intelligently on a supply and demand sense in terms of bringing you things that are appropriate to your advancement level. And then also, if you buy up a bunch of stuff like copper, they will tend to bring it back in the future. They are reasonably decent business people. So we are going to just throw another 6 wool at them, take that copper ore, and be grateful. And yes, now we get the knowledge point from acquiring more than 10. They're building up a few of these bars. So we're going to continue that process. And I've got this set now to 25%. So it's just a resource and not equipment that people need at different ages. We don't actually have the adult option here, but I think that's a decent amount. And I figure once we hit that 25% mark, if we do, then I'll start using the copper for more things and eventually try to find a balance point in terms of what we can build with it and what we can't. So we're set for our first winter. Oh, there's some wolves coming. That'll be fun. We'll take care of them. Of the Copper Age. And there's so much going on now that I'm going to be a little bit more methodical and just sort of reevaluate each year. Because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be changed pretty much on an annual basis. Now, if we look at the straw and food chart that we did a bit ago, obviously these peaks here in the straw are the harvest, and that's where the peaks in the food are as well. We can see this is this year. 2 years ago was our peak for food, slightly higher than 3 years ago, and then it's been on steady decline. If we look at the straw, this is the end of the winter when we stop feeding the animals. Then we have this gradual decline until the beginning of the next fall, and that's as we build and repair and all of those things with straw. And we are having a small decline in that as well. So I conclude we need a little bit more food and also a little bit more straw, split up the improvements. We've got a new field of barley out this way. We've got a new field of lentils over here. And then I also wanted to clear out some of these trees on the end so that if we need to do more than that next year, we can. But we've clearly reached the point where the big, farming expansion that I did a while back is no longer been enough. And then our burial sites continue to be great. We have finally reached the extinction point that I talked about a while back. Woolly mammoths and rhinos went extinct. And we're not hunting much anymore anyway, but it's worth noting and another good reason why to rely on our domestic animals. Speaking of which, I wasn't too thrilled with getting a little bit close here, so I did add another stable, and then we've got enough, getting close enough to our housing limit, I built one more of those as well. So we've got a hut coming in over here, a stable coming in over here. We are a little bit behind on the linen, but I think that might just be, I'm going to wait on that. We might be able to get caught up with that now that we've got some more. And we have plenty of resources here to build at least what we need for the moment. Wool continues to be great, etc. Working on the copper. So a few more expansions, but nothing too severe at the moment. We're looking pretty good. We've got another pack of Raiders, Copper Age version. Everybody get to where you're supposed to be. I think they're coming from... Yep, there they are. Now, the main thing to notice here is... Oh, I think I might have missed one of them. Okay, there's 9. We had 4 to 7 in the various raids in the Neolithic. I thought there was 10 in this group. But in any case... Higher numbers, and they can carry copper gear. Although this does not really matter that much, since copper is not that much more dangerous. Get into Bronze and Iron Age, they would have much more dangerous weapons and other assorted sundries, and that would be different. Okay, now we need to close the gates, because we've pretty much got everybody in. And then you can see that they're sort of attacking from a couple different directions here as well, which is something that happens when the groups get bigger. Nonetheless, we're doing a pretty good job mowing them down. A couple over here, getting shot at by the people in the tower. The tower might go down. But then over here, everybody appears to be happy and saying that we won. So let's see. Yep, there was just 9 of them. We're up to 64. We need to survive probably 2 more raids, maybe 1 more, before we go back to getting more knowledge out of that. But, open the gates again, as you were, everybody. And it wasn't bad timing for a raid for us. If we go and look out, though, at some of what we have here. Say, we've got, I got a flint axe. A copper axe, so they did, and you know, copper gear is just as good taking off somebody's corpse as it is building it ourselves. There's another one here if I can click on it properly. Yeah, another copper axe. Now, there's not much left of those, but still. So, you know, that'd be another way to get some more copper into the settlement. Another winter review, and overall things are actually even worse than last year. The big thing here is the straw. It got down to single digits, just 8 left. But it did pop up here over the last fall with the additional planting we did. So I think that may recover. Food continues to decline. With the population continuing to increase, both human and animal population. I think we're okay on shelter space, but we're building another hut over here. And I definitely need to get some more things in. So I've got more emmer coming in here, more grain and straw. A nice big field of bitter vetch that they're just starting to plant. Just put that down. And I'm also going to use this over here as another place for flax. Because we're just starting. I think we actually just finished one. Yeah, finished our first actual fishing rod over here at the... Where is it? Where's my workshop? I know it's here. I lost my workshop. Oh, I just didn't go back far enough. There it is. Anyway, so we're working on these, and we just got one up. Looks like they don't need it anymore for now. But that's going to suck up even more of our linen. Plus, we continue to lag behind on those outfits. So I think bringing in more flax is a good idea. But I'm keeping this here clear. I want that to be, you know, if we need even more straw, I'll throw a nice big field of barley in there. So we'll see how this plays out over the next year. Well, here it's not looking so good. We're not even out of winter yet. Down to 30 straw. So we're still sinking, and I decided, you know what, I'm not even going to wait. I'm going to go in on this. Made a nice big section of barley, full 5x5 field, and just, I feel like we need the extra. Particularly since I'm actually now, because of how low it's getting, I'm going to cut off building anything new. I want new buildings of various types, including we have enough knowledge to get our first advance of the Copper Age. Going to go with donkey domestication there. But I'm actually not going to go out and capture any of them because we wouldn't be able to feed them. So we've just got to sort of put the pause button on developing further and really ramp up our supplies before we can do that. It was definitely a boring and quiet year, as all I could really do is harvest crops and plant them and do a bit of hunting, and there wasn't a whole lot going on, but I think it was worth it and necessary. Here in late summer, we actually ran completely out of straw. That's actually a net negative because would have spent more of the straw used up in buildings if I had it to use. And of course, the food picking up, seeming to recover as well also. So I'm going to wait and see how much we use over the winter till we get into the spring. But if we've got enough, I'll start resuming building, and we're going to gradually work our way into a normal expansion mode where we're not worrying about running out. One of the severe dangers, by the way, of running out of straw is if you do, then they start feeding grain to the animals. And so that would hit our food supply, and it can really tailspin fast. So do not want that to happen. And the verdict is good, but not great. We do have some straw left over. You can see we've got about 30 after having dragged it all to these. We are building a few more huts to get our population moving again. Food appears to be fairly stable, but we definitely need to keep expanding the situation. I have thrown more up here. This is, an einkorn field. And we're going to probably move more even fields out next winter. I just feel like I need to keep on escalating this to get over the hump and get the straw that we need. We're looking better, but there have been some issues. You can see I had to actually manually set to butcher some of these animals because it keeps flagging a knife shortage. It's actually not really short of them, but I had to up the amount because it's only doing 25% of the adults, and so it's like it couldn't find somebody conveniently enough with a knife or whatever. So what I did is I bumped this up to 33%, and hopefully that will resolve that situation. Ah, we have a trader. Let's do, we're going to get 3 more of those. That should work. And with that going on, I also want to... We have enough copper for now. I'm thinking, almost 40. I'm thinking if we get below like 20 or so, then I'll turn those extra ones back off. Let's get some more copper things built. Straw is definitely going up. Food appears to be stable, not necessarily increasing though. We are going to get more population. We've now recovered from sort of the housing shortage. There weren't very many pregnancies. Now we're back up. Yeah, we got 15 of them. So it's going to start growing again. We did have disease for flax in the harvest. So we're trying to catch up again on our outfits. But I do want to plant a couple more things. I'm going to pop over here. I like using the hillsides because trees tend not to grow there. So, nope, I want emmer. There we go. And let's see about, I don't know, maybe about here. That's actually probably not the best spot. Let's move it over to the right a little bit. Maybe over there. There we go. And then we could also, put more down this way if we wanted. But that's a decent plot. And then I'm going to also throw up a nice big set of chickpeas over here. There we go. And that really should secure us in terms of having some positiveness. I should be able to get some more of the support buildings up, maybe get a couple more stables, get some donkeys finally in here, and progress forward. A lot of economics for Inception in this episode, but sometimes you can advance forward and sometimes you mostly have to lay the groundwork for future advancement. and secure things against starvation. And that was our deal for this one. Thanks for watching, everybody. More Dawn of Man will continue.